Clap off.
Clap on.
Clap
Clap
on
off.
The
the
clapper.
clapper. Welcome
I
back,
wanted one of
everybody.
those so bad
Right?
when I was a kid. Like, I was like, that's magic.
Yeah.
Mom, can we get a clapper?
Yeah, no kidding.
It's only $19.99, and if we order right now, we get a second one for free.
When we went to
Just
Tijuana,
pay
I got the
shipping.
clap. It's not the same thing.
No, it's not the same. You
So-
can't turn that off.
Chia Pet was fun, wasn't
Oh,
it?
yes.
Yeah.
So we have a semi-special guest in the room.
Don't really want to
He's
call him a
only-
guest
only a
because
semi?
he's one of the OGs.
I was going to say,
Just because he was one of the originals, how's he only a
Special
semi?
as in an Olympics way, or, you know.
he's founding father of the group, but
That's like
hasn't
right
been
there with
here.
I had a semi chubby. Like,
Decided to move
What
to the
was
other
even
end
the
of the
point?
country. And
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was exiled from good old Coolidge, Arizona. So now I've
Yeah.
come back.
We allow him back once a year, twice a year, maybe.
Yeah,
give or
yeah.
take.
Yeah, so it's nice to be here. So this is actually if I think about it, the first time I've been on the video. Because the only other one I was live was
The
very first one, which
Wow.
was audio only.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I did Skypes, and that was always difficult with timing. So that was
Right.
the first time live on video. So
Oh,
yeah.
that's
kind of
true.
fun.
Welcome to this generation and technologies and stuff.
Wow,
We've
I
got
know.
cameras and whatnots.
It's amazing.
we semi have it together here.
And then he
There's a lot
moved
of
to
semis here today.
then he moved to a place with like a 12-hour time difference, so
Oh, jeez, yeah.
we couldn't Skype.
That
hardly.
really makes it tough.
It's 3-hour time difference. And I've been here a week. I'm just starting to get used to the time difference, and I fly out tomorrow.
Of course.
So yeah, so my sleep's gonna be.
Well, that's
all
how it
messed up.
always is.
Yeah. So
But speaking of you visiting and traveling and stuff, you're always traveling for your work that's to be unnamed. And earlier this week, last week,
last week,
you were at a convention type event situation. We're not going to get into details, but you got taken out for a little whining and dining. And at first, I thought you got to have some Kobe steak, but you corrected me.
It's have you guys? This was a vendor that wanted to take us out to dinner, and that we deal with, and it was actually a mistake they made by choosing the restaurant. But we were there and we went with it. Now, have you guys ever heard of A5 Wagyu steak?
I have not.
Neither had I.
My
Okay.
my wallet doesn't go that high up
Right.
in numbers.
I had always heard of Kobe steak. Well, for one, this restaurant we went to, they had a doorman that wouldn't allow you to open up the front door. Then they had a bar, this area that was very high class. And then to get to the restaurant, there was a private elevator that was guarded. And they questioned everyone that would get on that elevator. So every time I went out for a smoke,
What
Do they
is
ask
your
you-
favorite color?
yeah, pretty
What?
much, yeah. I was like,
Is your name?
What is your credit score?
so,
What is 3,562 divided by 4?
And I was like, holy
7.
crap. So we take this private elevator up, and we're in this dining room, and we're sitting there, and this is even fancy for all of us. There were 6 of us there, and the first waiter comes up, this big guy in a tuxedo, and he's like, hey, I'm your tequila waiter. What type of tequila you drinking tonight? Just first thing. So he recommended this tequila by George Strait, and then we had the wine guy come up, and, what type of wine do you want? And that was really good. But then the steak guy came up and started showing us all the steak samples, and A5 Wagyu is like the top of the line meat, I guess, that's out there. It makes Kobe look like beef jerky. They actually, he was explaining how less than 2% of the steakhouses that serve this can actually prove, they actually have, if it's real, you have the paperwork that shows the lineage of the cow.
No shit.
The family, yeah,
True.
which they had.
Authentic certificate.
Yeah, they had that on hand if we wanted to see it. So, anyway, they were showing it, and there was the fillet, which I ended up choosing, it was a 10-ounce fillet, and it sells for $30 an ounce. So
Good
this was
God.
a $300 steak. That all they did was they crusted it in sea salt, and I got it medium rare. I tell you, man, I have never had a steak that melted in my mouth like butter, like this stuff did. And I'll never have it again in my life. I know that. Okay, I know that.
I bet it's amazing, but is it $300 amazing? Do you think that?
No, not at all. To me, okay, if it was like a special anniversary, $100 for the meal, I would, yeah.
Okay.
$300, no. In my opinion, it is not worth it. But people that have a lot of money, I guess, What else do they have to
I
spend
mean,
it on?
when it's a special
Right.
occasion, I hit up that 2 for $20.
Right.
Yeah,
Chili's,
exactly.
and I feel like
Yeah.
I spent big. Like, we had an appetizer, we had a main,
Yeah.
there was a dessert thrown in. I spent
Don't
big
get me
tonight,
started on the
baby.
dessert for the freaking
Well, I'm used to
2 for
going to
meal
Walmart
thing.
buying a $12 or $15 steak, and that's a big deal, you know. So, yeah, this cut into it. It melted like butter, and then what a lot of us did was we ordered because a lot of us couldn't decide between the fillet or there was also a 15-ounce bone-in ribeye wagyu as well. So what we did was there were
But
six
how
of
many
us.
ounces is bone?
I don't know, it was a little tiny.
Oh, okay.
It was maybe the size of a $half or smaller. But
Not my bone.
so like a lot of us, so like
Yeah, you only wished.
3 of us ordered the ribeye, 3 of us ordered the fillet, and we shared. And while the fillet melted like butter, the ribeye was just this explosion of flavor that was just unreal.
He loves it when the meat explodes flavor in his
so
mouth.
juicy running down with you. Kind of salty, you know.
Oh, yes, that's the sea salt.
Yep, that was the sea salt. But yeah, it was an amazing dinner. I was texting my wife the whole time. I wish she could have been there. And she's telling me, you got to pay attention to your friends. I'm like, man, you got to be here. So, but it was amazing. I had no idea such thing existed. You know, it's special grass-fed. When you see the meat, it's just stripes throughout the entire meat of the fat.
Oh.
Instead of like fat on the outside, the whole thing has like pinstripes through it.
Jeez.
It's a weird looking meat, man. But
Oh, man.
you know, they're fed grass and fed beer and probably massaged by naked Asian women. You know, the whole entire cow's life. You know.
How do you get that gig?
Yeah, I know. Really, I mean. I wouldn't mind living a life like that, and then when I got old, they slaughtered me for meat. Hey, I'm avoiding those, bad golden years,
Exactly.
So,
See, if I raised cows, all I would give them is like beer and molasses and
fatten them up and massage them, and hey,
a chili pepper here and there.
Yeah.
chili tacos, you know.
He's out there with one of those powered back massagers. I'm like,
Yeah.
They're gonna taste so good.
Back massager.
But yeah, I had
And
never-
Can you
he's
make
like,
sure these
where is my back massager at?
Can you make sure these jalapenos go towards your ground section?
yeah. So anyway, this dinner was definitely a mistake. The people that took us out had no idea. No, it was, but once again, it was really good. So I don't know if I'll ever have it again in my life, but it was just amazing. So A5 Wagyu, look it up on the internet. It's just
Okay,
it's
we
amazing.
need Patreons to allow us to go on a road trip and try these steaks out.
Right. Anyone who wants to donate to the We're Going on a Steak Road Trip, please throw some money in.
Yes, and we will give you an honest review, and it'll be up. So we'll do that for you.
That's one of those things where you're basically just kind of like paying for the status of it all, not for the
I think
meal,
so.
more or
Yes.
less.
Like
Yes.
when you see like the $1 Million Sundae with 24-karat gold
Yeah,
leaf that they
man.
eat. I'm like, who the fuck is eating gold?
Or like that taco. I saw that
Yeah,
film.
that taco
Yeah.
too. I'm like, who the fuck is
Drinking
eating gold?
Yeah.
maybe, but
Well, yeah, that was something else. I was joking around with one of the guys I was friends with. The
Like,
manager
I would
there.
be saving my shit for the next week and a half.
Well, yeah. With the,
to fucking pan through that shit like I'm the lost Dutchman out there.
well, I said, if
I'm
that
getting
was
this gold back.
if that was a $300 steak, did that mean my shit I took the next morning was worth $50?
at
You
least.
know?
That's what I'm
So,
saying.
hey, auction it off on eBay. It's starting now at a low price of
There we go.
$10. You know.
Buy it now for $100.
Yep.
That's horrible. That's I've like. I think one of my favorite steak places, and the steak's not even like purely amazing. It's just atmosphere. Is that Big Tex in Amarillo, Texas, where it's the one that they made famous. It's on all the cooking shows
The
because they
42
have
ounce or
yeah.
62
I
ounce
think it's
steak, yeah.
I think it's I don't remember how big it is. I thought it was 50 ounce maybe, but if you eat it and all the sides and an hour to get it. But
yeah, what was that steak John Candy ate in The Great Outdoors? What would they call it? What was the name of that steak? Oh, I
I
can't
just
remember.
watched that the other day too.
That's so good though, but when they bring that steak out, man.
Yeah.
Dan Aykroyd's all egging him on into getting it.
It's crazy.
I
like,
can't remember what that steak was called though. They had a name for it. Oh, that's gonna bother
I
me.
watched people eat that or attempt to, and it's so big that they don't even bring it out to you whole on the plate. They have to slice it down the middle, butterfly it open to cook it because it's impossible
Otherwise,
to.
the middle would
Yeah. I mean, but it's
Give me
ridiculous.
fucking
And then
steak tartare.
they serve you with a big ass salad and baked potato and all that shit on top of it, and you have to finish all of it. And then they put you at a raised table with a big old clock behind your head.
So everyone can mock you. And
Right,
everything while you're
exactly.
doing it, Yeah.
Yeah, like that way you can throw up and ruin your
Yeah,
business
make
for an hour and a
gagging
half.
noises at you.
Ugh. But yeah, it's the same thing. It's the atmosphere. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's good food, but it's a little pricier than a normal steakhouse would be,
Yeah.
and it's the atmosphere.
It was totally that, I mean, this was nice, like, it would be nice to drive a Lamborghini once in my life, you know, maybe just to say I did it, but I don't have to, you know what I mean? So.
There it is, I got it. The old 96er. It was a 96-ounce steak that he ate. And
Good Lord.
They called it the old 96er.
Isn't Google amazing?
You get a T-shirt. T-shirt if you finished it, and a free meal.
I think that's what at that one. I think all you get is, I don't know. They might have gave you a T-shirt or something, but the biggest thing is you just don't have to pay for the $60 or $70 steak that you're trying to shove in.
Right. I'd rather just been like, yo, everybody, let's just split the steak up, and it's probably cheaper than buying take 10 people with you, split that shit up. You got $7 steaks, and they're still bigger than what.
Just
they
go in there, order the
paid.
72-ounce steak, and ask them to slice it into 6, and just take it with you.
Yeah,
put it on the grill.
Right? I mean, you just paid $7 a person for a steak.
Yeah, no shit. That's funny.
I'll take that all day.
Right? And still cheaper than if you all went in there and bought your own individual steaks.
Now we're gonna have some angry Texan steak guys coming here, like business owners. What are you guys saying our customers to do?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Wasn't our idea. No.
Give us that steak and we'll retract our statements.
We are open to taste testing, by the way.
Yes.
Just we want to repeat that.
We're some whores, aren't we?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
My favorite flavor is free.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Price is right.
Definitely.
So Kevin went and saw a movie today.
Yeah, a little movie.
Saw a movie?
A little independent film. Few stars in it. Got a chance to watch Infinity War this morning.
Spoiler: Batman dies.
That was, if I remember right, it was Sundance or Cannes' third most popular movie.
Third most popular movie, yeah.
And I think it's in like 1.5 theaters today.
Around that. Like, it was real hard for me to find a theater
Yeah.
that was showing it. So, but no, yeah, I got a chance to hit up Infinity War today. So, the culmination of 10 years of Marvel cinematic building and brought it all together, and they did a good job. Really? I thoroughly enjoyed it, man. Like,
lived up to the hype?
Yeah, it lived up to the hype, and here's the first thing. Fuck, it was 2 hours and 40 minutes long.
Damn.
Wow.
And by the end of it, you didn't realize 2 hours and 40 minutes had gone by.
Well, they had to make it that long for every character to get a line.
It was going like that, like it was going nonstop the whole time that you were like in it from beginning to end. Like there was never a lull in.
So
that
what do
movie.
you think? Like we've been talking about movies like that, maybe blowing their load and they're being done. What do you think? Do you think they blew their load on that movie, or do you think it's going to be able to come back to just an Iron Man movie? And...
I don't think they blew their load on it. Like, first off, this is something we talked about when The Defenders came out on Netflix. Remember when you watched that and you said you felt like when it got to a certain person's scene, you were watching their show.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's how it was when you were watching this. Like, when it got to, like, a certain, like, when a new, it starts off with one group of people, and then, something happens, it goes to the next group. You feel instantly, before it even shows you the characters, you know who you're about to see just by the feel of the film, the look of it, the sound of the music in the background. You're like... These motherfuckers are about to show up.
Guardians of the Galaxy now.
Yeah, exactly. When the Guardians show up, you're like, Guardians of the Galaxy. It feels like a Guardians movie.
Okay. All right.
And that's one of the things my wife said, that it really felt like, she's like, they did a good job of splitting it up. Because the people, she thought it was going to be like, you're going to get there and the whole time you're going to have like 70,000 people on screen. Right. But no, they all had their own shit going on. And she's like, they did such a good job. She's like, I felt like watching Thor's parts, I felt like it was just a continuation of Thor Ragnarok. She's like, that was really cool. And watching the Guardians of the Galaxy, I thought felt like it was a continuation of Guardians of the Galaxy, and that was one of the smartest things they did.
You end up with so many people on the screen, it starts lagging.
And then to bring it all together.
Yeah, I was afraid. Yeah, we're gonna start, having clipping and issues like that. But they did a good job. And the pair-offs that they did with different characters was really good. Like they had people that played off of each other really well. I was like, that was smart. And it was like watching. Civil War was the first one where you're like, this is too many people. How's this going to work? And it ended up working really good.
Oh my god!
Yeah, and you get multiple scenes like that throughout the thing where there's this group of people and their fight, and you're like, wow, they're working really well together. Like, good writing. Like,
so you talk a lot about the heroes. How was the villains in this movie? Were they equal to the heroes?
The villains were badass in this movie.
Okay,
like the guys like the Black Order, which they didn't call them the Black Order, but that's what they're in the comics. That's Thanos' family. Mm-hmm. Like Gamora's his daughter, even though she's not biologically his daughter. He has a bunch of daughters and sons of people he's taken in over the years and made his lieutenants or whatever. They were
cut your arm off if you fail a fight.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. They were some real badasses.
Okay. And
Thanos was like, centered throughout the movie. Like,
nice.
He was, the main baddie. He shows up and you're like, you motherfuckers are done.
That's always been something with me when I see these. I always think a good hero is made by a good villain.
Yeah,
and I gotta have that belief that they can fail.
That's one of the toughest things in these movies is that so many of them, they spend so much time trying to tell you about the hero. Villains are real, forgettable.
Shallow. Yeah.
Real forgettable. Because, like, the first Guardians movie, the villain, you really didn't fucking give a shit about him by the end because you spent so much time learning about the Guardians.
Right.
Whereas the next Guardians movie, they were able to develop the villain more because you already knew the Guardians. You know who they are. You know their story. You're not learning about them. That's one of the things I always dislike about origin story movies is I always feel like the villains are so lacking because you have to spend so much time learning about the hero.
Yeah, they have.
Why is he the way he is?
In that movie, they're fighting like level 1 to 5 bosses
exactly,
rather than 50 to 60 epic bosses.
Do you think in a couple of years, like when all this peters out, we're going to see like the Avengers versus Expendables movie?
I don't know. Why not? I'm down. I mean, woman, where's my super suit?
They have every star.
I mean,
the
fact
face
that Samuel Jackson could play 2 parts in that movie.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
He could be Frozone and Nick Fury. I
want the Marvel DC crossover with Justice League, Avengers. You know,
I want the amalgamation universe. Let's just stick Wolverine and Batman and make them one person.
At the end, they could have
Bring in
Mr. Glass.
Right? But people are talking about the movies. This is it. They're blowing their wad. They're going to peter out. They're not going to keep going. But I mean, Marvel has plans beyond this.
Yeah.
Their stage 4 is going to be completely different than what we've had before. There's going to be new heroes. A lot of heroes aren't coming back.
I was just about to
tell
say, without giving anything
some
away,
shit went down. I'm just going to tell you. Everyone knows that shit's going to go down. Some shit went down.
But was it really like, oh my god, or were they killing off like Sprocket Man and Tennis Shoe Guy?
First fucking 5 minutes of the movie, you're like, okay. All right, this is real.
Huh?
This is real. Like... And there was one line in the first 5 minutes that Thanos says, and after he says it, you're like, they're trying to make a point that this shit is real by the line that he uses. You're like, okay, they're establishing this shit's going down. Wow. But they did a really good job, and they filmed both this one and the next Avengers at the same time. The other one's already done. It's ready to go. It's coming out next year. They have a few movies that are going to go in between, Ant-Man and the Wasp and shit like that. But, they have a plan for where they're going with the Infinity War.
I think Black Panther and the Wasp would be a better
a much
movie.
better sounding matchup.
Sitcom, anyway.
But, it's getting there. And so, Phase 4 is going to be way different than what the first 3 phases were. There's going to be, a lot of new heroes are going to be introduced. There's always that chance with the Disney-Fox crossover that Phase 4 could also see as bring in mutants. We might end up having the X-Men as one of the main... forces of Phase 4 of Marvel could be the X-Men stories.
There's been a bigger hole. There's been a big hole missing with the X-Men.
Both the X-Men and if you are a fan of the old comic books, another part of the major characters were the Fantastic Four.
Yes.
The Fantastic Four is kind of shoved to the side nowadays because their movies were so god-awful terrible that everyone's like, but if you're an old school comic fan, you're like, the Fantastic Four, they were the first family.
Yeah.
They were like the central to all these stories.
And they worked closely with the Avengers.
Yeah, and a lot of them were Avengers, and some of the Avengers were members of the Fantastic Four at some point.
Shared, and
yeah, exactly.
And it's been long enough now; those bad movies wouldn't hurt a comeback. I don't think.
No. So I mean, if that
I think Michael Chiklis was a good thing. I think he did the thing well.
Yeah. I mean, if the Fox Disney merger does go down and they do get those rights to the X-Men and the Fantastic Four and stuff, that could be Phase 4 and Phase 5. The center characters will be whoever's still alive from Infinity War, mixing in with the stories they can start doing now from X-Men and Fantastic Four. Because they've done so many stories, Civil War, a version of Civil War, a version of Infinity War, a version of different, individual characters from the comics. Now they can put all that behind them and go with a version of an X-Men story, a version of, the Dark Phoenix.
And there was a lot of X-Men that were part of the Avengers, too. The Beast, Rogue, a lot of them were.
A lot of them, like we said, they crossed back and forth.
Quicksilver.
Yeah, so, that could, they, going forward, if they do bring in mutants, because they can't actually say mutant in Infinity War because it's owned by Fox.
Wow.
So that's why, because, Scarlet Witch and her brother Quicksilver, who died in Ultron, they're mutants, but they couldn't use the word mutant. I can't remember what they called them.
They're actually
enhanced.
They're actually the children of
Magneto. Yeah, they're the children of Magneto in the comics, and they are mutants. But they couldn't call them mutants in this. But they were able to get the rights to them because of one of the weird crossover things or whatever. But they couldn't call them mutants, so I think they called them enhanced.
Okay. They keep crossing over anymore. We're going to see the Guardians running around in the Millennium Falcon.
Hell yeah,
that would be cool. That would be cool. I'd watch it.
Down. But yeah, they did a good job with the movie. I'm excited. One thing, how Marvel loves to do their stingers in the credits. This time to kind of show the gravity of all, there's just one. Instead of Guardians 2 had 5 or something.
Right.
There's one post-credit scene at the very end. That's it. So anyone's going to see you stay in the very end of the credits, one post-credit scene. to set up what's coming in the next one, and it was a good one.
And knowing this guy, he probably sat there for an extra 30 minutes staring at a black screen, hoping
Just
they
to
would
make-
come back.
just to be sure.
I knew ahead of time because my wife makes me check ahead
Okay.
of time. She's like, I'm not fucking sitting here if there's nothing to see. I'm pissed.
They're turning on the lights
So-
on
exactly,
you, flashing
so-
them.
So
The trailers for the next movie you're starring.
Yeah. Are you sure that's it?
the little
Honey, they're
screen
sweeping, I think,
cinema
when we go.
trivia comes up, and I'm like, no, just wait. We're
Wait,
not
they're-
done yet.
They're sneaky bastards.
They're very sneaky. But yeah, there was just the one, which kind of shows, like, the gravity of it, because they've always tried to stick more and more in as they can. And there was one surprise appearance from someone who'd been in one of the previous Marvel characters from one of the movies that I did not see coming. And when he was on the screen, I was like, I didn't see that coming.
Dude.
Holy shit.
Howard the Duck?
Oh.
No, he's already been in like 3 of them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, never mind.
He's popped up in like
Guardians
3 of
at
them
least.
now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he popped up in a Guardians. He popped up in a couple others.
That's
But
upsetting. Okay,
yeah,
never
there was just one character from a previous one of the movies that you haven't seen since that movie, and I was surprised that he was there. I did not see that coming. I was like, holy shit, that's
Moon
badass.
Knight.
That was my badass one. That I was like, ooh, I'm glad they brought him back for this scene. But yeah, good movie, worth watching
Awesome.
for sure.
I've got an issue with Marvel.
Of course you do.
Yeah, what's your issue?
They apparently make too good a movie.
So it's ruined your movie palette?
No,
What you're saying?
what it is I've been waiting.
Everything
for,
else sucks now.
Okay.
I've been waiting for Death House
Mm-hmm.
for a substantial amount of time now, and it was supposed to hit, I believe, on 420, but it got pushed back because the Black Panther did so well that theaters kept that movie playing and pushed releases back in certain situations, and that happened to be one of them. So I'm continuing to wait to watch this damn movie.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
You need a hug.
Maybe. Use your mouth.
If they're willing to push it, the scary thing is if they're willing to push it back like that, it's probably not substantial.
I'm not expecting it to be great.
He just wants to see it.
It's the Expendables of horror.
That's like Super Troopers 2. I'm dying to see that movie, and I
Okay.
expect it to be absolute shit.
Right.
But I can't wait to see it.
But yeah, I mean, is that any different than the first one? Is
I
that
don't know.
shit? But it was fun as hell to watch.
I expect it. It might even be
Meow,
funnier
meow.
than the first one, but I
Meow.
expect
Meow.
it to be worse. I don't
Bring it out, meow.
Especially when
I
they had
agree,
zero.
Right, meow?
They
Right
had
now.
Right, meow.
They had
Yeah.
to crowdfund it for like 3 years to even be able to start
Right.
filming. So yeah, I expect it to be pretty bad, but I still want to see it. Not bad enough to
And
have
talk
actually
about
taken the time to get there.
the
apparently,
like
but-
technology of the era we live in. That somebody who's so passionate about making a movie is able to go out there and get the financing like that from everyday people.
Right.
Like back in the day, that wouldn't have happened. You know, we're talking 80s,
Right.
90s. You're not going to go out and get millions of dollars from the average Americans to fund a movie you want to put together. That's just not happening.
You
You're
have
going
to pull
out.
a Kevin Smith and make it for like $3.
Yeah, you know that you got to put it on your credit cards, or you're going to go out and like you know
Yeah.
sell part of yourself for it.
Sell comic books and shit.
Something.
That's what he did for Clerks. Sold off his comic book collection.
Comic book collection and credit cards.
Ran up a bunch of credit card debt that he
Yeah.
probably wasn't going to be able to pay back in his mind.
Yeah, and he's like, "Fuck it. If I'm gonna do something stupid, I'm gonna do it while I'm young." Is what he always said.
Give yourself time to recover.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
like if I'm gonna do it, something stupid like this, I'm gonna do it now because then I have my whole life ahead of me to make up for it.
But he took a risk though, which is something
Yeah.
we're not seeing a lot. I mean, I know it's been discussed in other things in Hollywood anymore. You know,
Yeah.
Right.
Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Jaws, Terminator. Those were all risks that became
Iron Man.
Yeah, very popular. And
Look what Iron Man. Iron Man was a risk. He was
It
he
was.
was a B character in the comics. Nobody really cared for him. Tony
Robert-
Stark was a
Rob-
complete
Robert Downey
douchebag.
Jr. playing
Yeah,
it.
and
That
then
was a
Robert
big
Downey
risk.
Jr. being cast, and everyone's like,
he was very unreliable.
Yeah,
some
he
of the
was
problems
because
Are
he
you
had.
sure he's gonna be sober and show up?
He'd had years and years of getting kicked off of movie sets,
Yep.
getting kicked off TV shows
Yep.
because of all his drugs and alcohol problems. And people were like, first off, this is a character nobody really cares about. The character is a complete douchebag. Everyone hates him in the comics. Like, and then they cast an actor who's not reliable, like in the part, and then look what he spawned.
Yep.
First, they've just passed $15 billion in total revenues from the Marvel movies.
Hell yeah.
Off of
Hollywood,
taking a chance.
take a risk, okay? You'll have some winners. Trust us. Take a risk.
What's up, Yami and Nettie?
It's you know, my favorite part of the movies are the previews, and one of them is for this movie that I want to see it, but I want them to change the fucking title. Have you guys seen the preview for this movie, The Meg?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm waiting
Oh my
for
God.
a meme or a video to post of, you know, the girl
From-
in the submarine and then Meg from Family Guy.
Family Guy shows up.
And her
That's
nails
what I thought
come out.
too, like The Meg. So
I
what
don't
it
remember
is
that. I don't think I've seen this one.
haven't
it's
seen this
so
one.
it's it's set in the ocean, and these people they're like
Megalodon.
deep sea. Yeah, they're like down in the deep sea, and they find a megalodon, which is like the giant prehistoric
Yeah.
shark is still alive. You know the thing's.
Oh,
fucking-
I saw
Yeah.
the poster for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And the movie looks good. I like some of the actors in it, Jason Statham and some of the other actors. I'm like, I like these actors. The movie looks good, but will you please change this fucking name? The Meg
Yeah.
does not do it for me.
No.
Like I'm watching the preview with my wife, and I've seen it already, and she's seen it already. But it gets to the end of it, and you're like, the Meg?
That's
Yeah,
Like
it's a
the
cheesy
first
name.
thought you have is that is a bad name. You don't want that at the end of your preview where you're
Yeah.
hyped for it, and then you end with.
It's
that
like
is
if they
a
would have
bad
called
fucking
Jaws. Like
They could have
Bill.
called it
Yeah.
Big Fucking Shark.
Yeah.
BFS, and I would have went and watched it. Call
Yep.
it BFS, and I'm down. The Meg was fucking horrible.
That's like when that movie.
But it looks badass.
We started seeing all the posters pop up for that movie, Big Friendly Giant, and it was just BFG, and I'm like,
Big
and with a
Friendly
picture of a
Giant.
giant,
I'm
I'm
like-
like, that looks like a kid's movie.
But I'm like, that's the gun from Doom. Which did you hear? They're making a new Doom.
Are they really?
Yep, they're making. Yeah, it's in pre-production. They're
Is it
making a new
supposed to
Doom movie.
be a little bit more like Hellspawn, not Aliens, or whatever the hell?
I have no
Yeah,
idea
was.
what the one The Rock did and shit. I don't know, but yeah, they're supposed to be making a new Doom movie.
Yeah.
Which they said it is supposed to be more because I mean that last Doom game that came out
Mhm.
last year was very popular. The last
Right.
video game.
Yeah.
So they're kind of maybe they will go more the hellish direction of it.
They kind of got to be that. That was its roots, you know.
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
seemed to be a lot of people's reason for being upset with it is why change the origin of the
Space
creatures?
aliens.
Yeah. Doesn't really save you money. It doesn't do anything except for piss off fanboys.
Yep.
That's all it does.
And the funny part is, you would think they'd be making the movie towards the fanboys because who else is going to show up to watch it?
Right.
Yeah,
Right,
no
right.
kidding.
I mean, this was before The Rock was the drawer that he is now in
Yeah.
movies. This was still early in his movie career when he did Doom. Now he can sell a movie on his own,
Yep.
Which he does like every 2 weeks, apparently.
pretty much.
now.
Yeah.
So since we have
Both of you in the studio at the
our
same
two
time.
biggest Star Wars fans in the room, we decided we'd
God.
throw together some trivia.
Oh,
Oh God.
Put me on the
Hold on
spot.
But
I
We're-
don't know.
we're doing this for bragging rights, but
And
also
for an oil filter.
but
An
also
oil filter prize.
I need my oil filter changed. Oh, look at this.
you guys get a
Oh,
prize.
bobblehead.
CPO.
Anthony
Nice.
Daniels. Nice.
so you'll be able to walk away with a trinket.
A trinket. I was
So-
kind of excited about the oil filter though. I need
Yeah,
to change.
kind of nice.
I was gonna be like,
is-
"Yo, Danny, I pulled the truck in, and you got the filter. Let's get it done
Yeah.
right now."
So is this like we scream out an answer, or we both just come up with an answer and you tell us which was right? Or
Oh, shit.
something?
I didn't even think about that.
I was thinking.
So it's as usual.
Yeah.
Then.
Name is your buzzer is what I was thinking.
Okay.
Your what is?
Your name,
So you call? I guess you
I
yell
say
at your name.
Dave.
or you can say whatever. You can say your name if you want.
Your name.
You
Name.
could even
Me,
say,
me, me.
You can even say someone else's name. We've
Yeah.
had that happen before.
More
We've
than
had
once.
someone
I
ring
think-
in with someone else's name.
I think it was usually me that. With the John. Wait, me. I mean.
All right.
So
Okay.
the first bunch are multiple choice.
Oh.
Okay.
What vehicles did the Empire use in the assault on the Rebels' Hoth base? A.
Dave. AT-AT, otherwise known as an all-terrain armored transport, and an ATST, all-terrain scout transport.
Yes.
Got a piece of paper so we can keep score.
You'd shit if I said no, huh?
Yeah.
All right, so now I know I don't have to wait for the multiple choice to be read.
Oh, sorry,
I'll-
I
I'll-
apologize,
I was waiting
I
for him to read.
apologize.
I thought we had to wait for the
Oh.
choices and then yell.
Oh,
But
no,
yeah,
I
I got it.
apologize.
then.
Page in there.
We can,
I couldn't find smaller paper.
if I break the rules, don't count it.
Oh, no, no, no.
Okay.
No, that's
Okay.
fine. We're ready.
Rules
now.
are mediocrely
Yeah.
Okay.
guidelines. All right, number 2. Which one of these bounty hunters was a droid?
Kale. IG-88.
I don't know why
Nope,
we bothered.
Right.
I counter that.
Okay.
Oh, you also have 4 LOM as well.
Well, there's 4 choices.
And
And
then
I actually got to read
I was
them.
trying to
Okay.
go. See, that's the problem with calling in before he reads the choices.
Right, I know, right.
This is,
Hey,
yeah,
hey,
this
give
is
it
like
to
the
him.
Family Feud when
Yeah.
you say it before he finishes the question, and Steve's like, "You're
was
not
2
going to like
droids
your
there."
answer when I finish this question."
That's great.
Awesome.
So, I'm not saying you're wrong. It's just not the right answer.
That was
Right,
in his.
right.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm like, they're probably going to be real generic if Danny and John.
Yeah,
put it together.
exactly.
They get a
So
little,
I'm not
they get a
going
little
too
deeper
deep.
You'll
once we
see.
get past the multiple choice,
We'll
which
see.
apparently the multiple choice is pointless. Who infiltrated Jabba's palace dressed as a bounty
Kit.
hunter?
Dave.
Princess Leia as Boosh.
Yes. I didn't even get to say named.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. What creatures helped the rebels to destroy the Imperial shield generator in the Forest?
Dave.
Case. No, Case.
Dave.
Kill.
didn't
Ewoks.
Yep. And say, I don't even, since I'm reading, I don't even, you better be paying attention because I don't know anybody else first. All right. I'm just going to wait and see if anybody answers before I ask.
Luke Skywalker.
No, you just have to say Dave first.
Oh, okay. Never
How
mind.
funny would it be if that was there?
Yeah.
Who first discovered stormtroopers on Cloud City but couldn't
Kale.
tell?
Kale.
C-3PO.
Yep. This is funny shit. All right. Before Princess Leia is captured, she hides the Death Star plans.
David, Kale.
In R2-D2.
That's not the question.
Oh,
Damn it.
finish the question. Yes, finish the question.
Go ahead, brother.
I knew that was going to happen eventually. I was waiting for
That's
it.
great. So hides hides the Death Star plans in the memory of R2-D2. To which planet did R2-D2 flee with the fellow droid C-3PO?
Tatooine.
Very good.
In an escape pod that had 4 engines. The first, I bought a Star Wars Trivial Pursuit, and the very first question when I
Oh, so
opened
you
it
cheated.
up. No, the first question when I opened it up was how many fucking engines were on the escape pod that shot, and I was like, I don't fucking know this. I'm like,
Like
oh my,
three
I'm
or
like, these
four,
questions
three
are
or
going to be really
four. Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
hard,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they were hard as shit.
I actually-
but I never thought of that. I'm like, I had to think in my head, and I said 3, and I was wrong, so I've never forgot that. There's 4 fucking engines on an escape pod.
I
I
actually
have a little bit of
blockade
an
on
issue
it.
with
I
this
actually
next
bought
one.
that because my wife, she loves
all
Trivial
of those
Pursuit.
right?
She kicks my ass every time. 'Cause I suck at it.
Technically.
And so I got that. She won't play it with me because we played it once and she never got a turn.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, we can't play that.
But that was the first question, and I got it
you've
wrong,
never
and I was
forgotten
like,
it.
never forgot it.
Yep, I hear you.
This one's kind of funny to me. I kind of disagree with the question a little bit, but I'll read it first. Or not with the question, but with the choices. How many forms of communication does C-3PO speak?
David.
Yeah.
6 million forms of communication.
That is correct, but it says 6 million, 6,000, 3 million, or 3,000 over. And I'm like, technically all those are correct, because if you speak over 6 million, you also
Yeah,
speak
because
over
he
3,000.
says, I speak over 6 million forms of communication.
Well, you know what? That's kind of weird. That's forms. That's not languages.
Yeah.
Forms,
So-
because he can do...
Written, verbal.
Yeah.
Can he also do mental? Shit, 6 million? What type of forms are there
Right.
if you think about it?
Yeah, I was curious. Well, I guess that would be languages too, but I was thinking like
Music?
like computer code.
Computer
But
code,
that would
yeah.
still
Yes,
technically
yeah.
be a language. So
Yeah, it would be a language.
who knows?
So 6,012,000.
We don't know how many the
Yeah.
over is.
Right.
I mean,
This one I didn't have any idea of, so it's kind of interesting. What is the Rebel Alliance's fastest starfighter?
David.
Kill.
David.
What is the A-Wing fighter?
Yep.
Very good.
What is?
The A-Wing fighter, the backstory was, it was also created from what components they had available. So the A-Wing fighter was truly a rebel starfighter. They got what components they had available and they built it. Unlike
So
the
it was a
X-Wing, yes, unlike the X-Wing, which was built by Incom, and the B-Wing
Based
by
off of the
Soros,
off of the upgrade version of the Z-wing,
the
which
Headhunter.
didn't have the S foils.
So
I am
yeah,
thinking
the
you might
A-Wing
have
was fully a Rebel Alliance
Pick
ship.
harder questions on the next one.
I
But
know.
We just one of
We'll
these
see.
days
We're
we need to get some
My
kind of
brother.
fucking buzzer. We
I
need to
know,
get some
yeah.
kind of a.
Yep.
It shouldn't be hard to get something you hit and makes a noise. We
Right.
gotta
Well,
do
just
that
get a
one these
couple of
days.
lamps that you have to flip the switch.
Do you know
Something.
what? Do you know what this is though? With us, we both of us know the correct answers. It's down to
It's
speed.
who
with
can
our
get
name.
who can get the name
Yeah,
out.
and it's
faster.
almost like you're gambling.
Yeah.
what is doo-doo-doo?
What part of the pit droid did Jar Jar have to hit to get it to
David.
stop?
It's lens.
No.
Oh, okay.
Caught
iPhone.
Finish. I'll let you finish.
Get it to stop acting up.
It's nose.
Yes.
Hit it on the nose.
Oh,
Anakin
because
yells
he
at
says
him.
the nose.
Anakin
Okay,
says, "Hit it
That
on
was
the
what- I
nose."
was thinking the lens. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Dang.
That's good.
That's the only one you've gotten wrong that you heard the
It is a
question
prequel,
to.
though. It
Yeah.
is a prequel
It
question.
is a prequel.
So give me that.
I usually skip episode 1 when I do my
Yes,
watch
exactly.
throughs.
So if the rest are episode 1, it'd be very interesting, this quiz.
What terrible creature attacks Luke Skywalker on Hoth?
Hey,
David.
Kevin,
I didn't.
Kale started, but he didn't say his name correctly. But,
but
we'll give
you
it
said
to
you said say anything.
anything. Yeah.
The Wampa
Yes.
ice monster.
That's funny. Which Republic senator was also the leader of the rebellion?
Dave,
Kale.
Mon Mothma.
Yep. What did R2-D2 do that helped the Millennium Falcon escape the Darth Vader at Cloud City? The Darth
David.
Vader.
he fixed the hyperdrive.
Yep. The Darth Vader.
The Darth Vader.
Sounds so ominous that way.
The Darth Vader.
No more multiple choice. Not that it matters.
Not that we read one single one of them.
Right.
This one should be fairly simple.
And forgive for mispronunciation of some of the names
Of the
and
Darth
stuff.
Vader?
Oh, that's
Yeah.
all right.
What were Luke's aunt and uncles?
David.
Murph.
Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, or Owen and Beru Lars.
Would you like to hear the rest of the question?
Yes. I would like to hear the rest of the question.
Jobs.
Oh,
They're moisture farmers with
Easier than you
evaporators.
thought.
yeah.
There again, you're not wrong. You're
I
just
know.
wrong.
I'm just answering too soon.
You know what they did? They fucked you up because they said sorry if we get the names wrong. So
Right,
you're
right,
hearing,
right.
What's
No,
their
it's all right.
name in my head? Like,
Yeah,
he's
that's
gonna
funny.
fuck it up.
All right.
They threw you off on that one.
The Empire Strikes Back primarily takes place in two sectors. The Sluist sector that includes...
Sluist?
Sluist?
Solist.
Solist?
Solist. Okay.
Oh, that's not how it was written. I mean, who knows where this came from, too, though.
You know, we're correcting them now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. The Solist sector that includes the Dagobah system. The sector that includes the other planet in the film.
David,
Yes?
a note. I know it.
Yes.
Yeah, you do know it. But
Yeah,
I think you know it.
Well, what is it?
I know it, yeah.
How many dewbacks were in the original 1977 theatrical cut of the Star Wars
Kale.
first
Kale.
2.
Very good.
I wasn't sure.
I
Two or
had
one.
to fucking
That's
erase
like the engine
CGI out
question.
of my
Yeah.
head. I
Yeah.
had to erase CGI out of my
Yeah.
head. I'm like, okay.
And I remember it was in the
I'm
distance.
like, anytime I saw a dewback move, that's not real. That's
Right,
not from the
right.
original because they didn't
They
move
didn't
in the
move.
original.
No.
Really?
Yeah, in the original they didn't move. They just sat there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like counting in my head. I'm like, that one
Yep.
moved. It's not real. That one moved. It's not real. It doesn't count.
Yep.
What was the original name of the first Star Wars movie when it went into production?
Kale.
Dave-
Who got it?
Kale.
I know this one too, and I'm gonna fucking kick myself. God
And-
damn it! I
and
know it's
I'm gonna
something
time out
Adventures
while
of
he's
Luke
thinking.
Skywalker.
You want a hint?
Time. Hold on. I say, Kale goes. If he doesn't get it completely correct, we'll let Murph go, and we'll kind of guess on who got closer.
Okay.
It's something the Adventures of Luke Skywalker. I don't remember the rest of it. Why is my daughter's school calling me when she's not at school? Where there was no school today.
Would you like to try to one up that?
Go ahead,
Sure.
you
The
got it.
Journal of the Wills, The Adventures
There
of
it
Luke
is.
Skywalker.
The Journal of the Wills. I couldn't remember
Definitely,
the
definitely
Journal of the
closer.
Wills.
It's a little bit longer than that, actually.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
very long. Actually, a buddy of mine, I'll throw a name out here, Andrew Goggin, real good friend of mine, gave me a book one time that was called The Star Wars Annotated Screenplays. And this book, if you're a Star Wars fan, is awesome. It actually has the screenplays, every single version, from version 1 till the final movie.
No shit.
And I
Luke
swear,
Star's killer.
yeah, I mean, back when
Luke
you had,
Starkiller, I
Mace
think was his first
Windu
name.
was,
That was
Southern
his
character,
original
General
name
Mace
was.
Windu.
Yeah,
And
his original name was.
Would you
Luke
like to say the
Starkiller.
full name?
So this is the full name that we have. Adventures of Luke Starkiller, as taken from the Journal of the Wills saga, The Star Wars.
Yep, as a matter of fact, if you read the Star Wars novelization from 1977-78, there's a prelude in there that's supposed to be from Princess Leia, where she's talking, but then it also ends with from the Journal of the Wills.
Okay.
So and Lucas's idea was the Wills were kind of like the Beyonder in Marvel. They were the ones documenting all these events that were happening in the universe.
I'm going to do this one as, it's a two-part question, but I'm just going to do it as two separate questions.
That'll work.
What is the largest annual pod race in the world?
David,
David.
in the world or on Tatooine?
This
The
is in
Bunta
the
Eve,
world.
the Bunta Eve pod race.
Yeah.
In the
And
world.
then the second part of that is who is Anakin Skywalker's chief rival in
Kale.
it?
Ooh.
Sabuto.
Was it?
Sebulba.
Yeah.
Sebulba.
Yep.
See, I didn't hear which one of them got it, but the answer's right. Darth Vader's chess piece has some writing on it. What language is it
David.
in?
Arbrush, if I could pronounce it. That's the Imperial language.
Not according to this.
Oh, okay.
And what does it translate to is the other part of it, too.
Don't know that. I will say I do not know that.
I would have never guessed this. in a
Rob
million
actually
years.
got the first part right.
Really?
Yeah.
Any guesses, Kale?
Who did?
My boss.
Oh yeah. Is it Corbian?
No.
No. What is it?
Much
Okay.
more
Real life.
earthy.
Oh.
It's ancient Hebrew.
Oh shit. Okay.
And it translates to his deeds will not be forgiven until he merits.
I was actually thinking the in-universe language is
Yeah,
really
me too.
Arbrush.
And I was trying to think of like
Yeah.
from the Sith home world.
Because like a lot of the languages in the Cantina scene were actually real languages that they had like altered and stuff as well.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yep, so a lot of those, that chittering you hear in the background, it's hard to make out, but they're different languages, either like indigenous people languages from South America or whatnot. There.
That's
Whatnot
interesting.
is one of my favorite
Yeah,
languages.
and also when Obi-Wan turns off the tractor beam on the Death Star, that's the only scene in the original Star Wars movies that has English on screen, English writing, because they wanted the audience to visually know what he's doing with the power levels.
Okay.
Otherwise, all the other writing in universe is our brush. It's that Imperial writing. But
Yeah, like a bunch of dots and dashes put together.
So
really
technically,
weird.
then in the most pure form, that was incorrect for it to be in English. Then.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it was.
Because English didn't
But they
exist.
thought that would help the audience know what Obi-Wan was doing with his power levels.
have
and
an
dropping.
on-off
Yep,
for the audience.
Interesting.
So they pandered to us.
he did.
I mean, the fact that he said, I'm going to go turn off the fucking tractor beam,
I
obviously
know.
wasn't enough
Yeah,
for us.
exactly.
Like, once he got there and turned the knob, we don't realize
What-
he's
what
turning
did he-
off a tractor
In
beam.
here, bro.
It
Like-
was the 70s, okay? You saw the pants and clothes people wore back
Like,
then, okay?
still,
So,
it's
you
just
know.
like, it wasn't enough to say, you're going to go turn the tractor beam off and make a sound when you turn it down.
Yeah, no, that's not enough. No.
This one. Oh, okay, I'm on the wrong one. Never mind. What lizard-skinned head of the Black Sun criminal syndicate?
Kale.
Kale.
Exarchon.
No,
David.
David.
Shizor.
Caesar.
Yeah.
Yep. Damn it. No, I pulled his
I
Sith
was
out.
I was actually worried about that,
Pulled
that there
his
was
Sith
more
out.
to that question,
Yeah.
because Shizor came to mind.
Mhm.
But
It
I
was
like,
just gonna
there has
say-
to be more.
It was just gonna say added in '96 and removed in '14 is all the next thing that.
Oh,
came
that's it's the Shadows of the Empire that Disney made.
And this one, since this is cut off, do you know what that? The character used to smuggle guns before opening a diner in Coruscant, and is partially named after George.
Kale.
Kale.
Dak.
David, Dex,
Can
DEX.
I'd say we give it to him because
Jester.
it's probably
Okay.
Yep.
yeah, and that's the last
That's
name. So
Jester.
they have it as Dexter,
Yeah.
but
Give it to
I just
Kale.
can't
Give
read
it
the
to
name
Kale.
because it cut it off. So I was
Yep.
like, "What's the real
He
name?"
actually got it
George
closest
something.
first. Yep.
No,
give it-
Okay.
No, all I would know is Dex Jester. That's all. But
But it is Dex, not Dak.
Okay, yeah, he got it.
you know what? Neither of us get it. Go on to the next one.
Okay.
There you go.
I'll give you both a point.
All right, there you go.
There you go.
John just didn't want to have a
I know.
crossover.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to do this the most lazy
Yep.
way.
Lazy.
Are you complaining about getting points? God.
Holy crap.
When did I put a Marvel Universe question in?
Yeah, no
this?
shit. How many crystals were in Darth Maul's two-bladed lightsaber in The Phantom Menace under the Legend's rule? And how many would it be in by current Disney canon?
Cannon.
So you have to know both.
David,
Yes.
Okay.
3.
For which one? You got to answer both. You got to answer what it was then,
Oh, well,
and then what it would be under the current
Then
rules.
it would be 2, and now it would be 3.
Kale, would you like to give it a shot?
A hint that means he's wrong.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting.
I'll honestly say I do not know this question.
Then it would have been two focusing crystals, one
Right.
for each side, and now I think it's just one because they simplified shit so much. No?
So
There were 2 crystals per lightsaber in the original. They're focusing on the other one. And then now there's 3. Because Luke disassembled a lightsaber and found there was 3 crystals in it.
When did Luke
So since it's-
disassemble the lightsaber?
since
in
it's-
Rebels or no, not in Rebels. Luke wasn't in that.
So since it's two-bladed, the answer is technically 4 and 6.
You were
Okay, so
right, but
neither right.
double it.
Well, see, I had doubled it in half since his lightsaber got cut in half. So I was
That-
thinking
that's why it
50%.
was-
That's why I said 2 and 3.
That's why it was able to be
So,
cut in
yeah,
half.
yeah,
because
I
it
bet
was 2
4 and 6.
lightsabers.
Okay.
So that's a neither on that one.
Yeah. So that was it.
That was it.
Who's the winner?
Murph by 1.
Nice.
Dang.
Good work.
Congratulations, man! But that was
Good
luck.
job, guys.
Congratulations.
That was total luck.
That first question, I was waiting for the multiple choice.
Yeah.
That was
That was the one that got me. That first one I knew it, but I was waiting. I thought we had to wait for the end of the multiple choice to call our names out.
And
didn't
then
get
this
to a
is
single
this is
multiple
truly
choice.
Anakin Skywalker I'm here with, so I was like trying to first, because I knew I would lose.
He was getting that name out quick.
Yeah.
That's too good.
That was good, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
So now we're gonna have to find some even more challenging trivia
Questions,
for
yeah, because that was way. I would just pick the first multiple choice ones. I picked so I would be sure that you guys would get points on the board, but that was totally not an issue.
My weakness with Star Wars is I'm not as up on the expanded universe
Right.
stuff.
Which technically doesn't exist anymore.
Right, and it's funny
It's
because
Legends. It exists.
it exists as Legends. There's some really good stuff, but there's stuff that isn't. And I never really kept up on all of it. So that would be my weakness. But so the crystals, I was like, fuck, I don't know.
Did you see they had a virtual tour of the new Star Wars stuff at Disneyland? They released here recently.
No.
It looks pretty cool.
Is that the new hotel?
Oh, the new.
No, it's
land.
they actually
New land.
opened up a whole
New
part
land?
of Disney.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, the whole-
and
yeah,
I
new
guess they're
land.
doing it in Florida and California.
Mhm, yeah, there's
So-
one in each.
We saw it under construction when we were at Disney
Us
last
too.
year. It looked pretty
Oh, it's
pretty
huge.
amazing.
It's
like you
huge.
can see, like under some, you can see there's obviously a very gigantic Millennium Falcon in there, and
That's
a
going to be
couple
the
other things,
main
but-
attraction ride. You fly the Millennium Falcon.
And supposedly it's unique and customizable missions. I don't know
Yeah.
how they're going to do that for 8 billion people a day.
yeah,
but-
that's the thing. I like how many. I mean, obviously it's going to look like one Millennium Falcon, but when you get in there, how many different pods are there going to be for
Right.
people to get shoved into? Like when you go on the Star Tours ride, there's like what 4 different
yeah.
Star Tour things going at the same time. It just depends on which doors you line up on.
Yeah.
So,
So,
but yeah.
I'm curious how it's unique and customizable.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. One of the things I like about it is that, Disney already, you walk around, there's, the characters and shit like
Right.
that you see. But in the Star Wars land, everybody's in characters. Right down to the guy picking up the trash will be a droid.
Yeah, that
and
is
they have to
awesome,
stay
yeah.
in character the whole
Yep.
time.
Yeah.
They're making it so once you walk into Star Wars land,
You're in that
you are
world.
in Star Wars universe 24/7.
I was just about to ask, which would you prefer, like, to walk up and take selfies with the stormtrooper, or be walking through and see, 20 stormtroopers marching from place to place?
They already do
Not
that.
They're
even-
gonna,
do
yeah, they
they-
already do Imperial. Yeah, they already do stormtrooper marches through, and then they have stormtroopers who stop for pictures and stuff already in Tomorrowland.
That's what I'm saying. If they
So
did
they'll
one
have
or the
both.
other,
They're not going to have
Okay.
one or the other. They're going to have both. They're going to have where you can go up and get pictures with Darth Vader at some spot, or just like they do with all the other characters. Like Cinderella's out at this specific
Right.
spot at this specific time. It'll be the same shit. But I think it's just cool that like from the guy picking up the trash to the person selling the souvenirs to the person who's worked in the Star Wars cafe selling you your
Are they
Millennium
going to have the
Falcon
cantina
burger.
band in the cafe?
Yeah, hopefully.
That'd be
You
awesome.
know what?
Because they're supposed to have a cantina
Really?
I want to see
So-
the
With
Cloud,
alcohol.
with alcohol.
I want to see the Cloud City guy with the ice cream maker under his arm,
Right,
running
yeah,
through
running
Disneyland.
through Disneyland with the ice cream maker.
They it's funny too because when the stormtroopers come marching through in formation, every once in a while they'll be like whatever there is 12 of them or whatever, and a lot of times they'll stop and spread out, and you'll hear their commander give them orders to go find a description of somebody, and usually it's somebody that's standing right there watching them. They'll just
Yeah.
be like,
And then
"You
they
need to look
pull
for the
them
guy
over.
in the Green Mountain Dew shirt right there." And they don't actually point him out,
Yeah.
but then you're like, "Shit,
Oh, shit.
Yeah, that's right.
that's pretty cool." But
I'm not a
wondering
rebel. I'm a patriot. No.
I'm wondering what they're gonna do with that section of Star Wars stuff in Disney. I wonder if they're gonna change it now since it's away from the Star Wars section, or if they're just gonna leave it.
Oh, the Star Tours and
Mhm.
like where that shop and stuff is.
Yeah,
They'll
where they have that-
they're going to leave Star Tours there. That's too big of an attraction stuff. It's going to still be in
Yeah.
Tomorrowland, and they'll probably still have some Star
but
Wars
they
stuff
could
over
change
there.
it to something else because
They could, but I mean,
it was
it's
around.
it's a good ass ride
Yeah,
though.
it was around long
and
before
also
it was Star
the,
Wars.
Also, the walking into the ride is so
Yeah.
badass.
Yeah,
With
yeah.
C-3PO and R2-D2 talking back and forth as you're going through, and the old school videos they had in there and everything, and
Yeah, and then they have that basically museum shop where you walk through and see all the displays.
yeah, when you come out at the end, you
Sort of
build your
like
own
the
lightsaber and all that shit.
Star Trek experience
So-
in Vegas.
Oh,
They'll-
you mean the shop that robs me of all my money?
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's going to still be there, and then there's going to be other version of that kind of shop over in the Star Wars land. But there's no way they're going to get rid of Star Tours. It's too much of an iconic Disney ride now at this point.
It is.
Yeah,
And then-
well, I was wondering if they wouldn't
Or if they
consider
like,
putting
move
it
it,
back to
yeah.
the original or
Move it
or
over there to
something,
the
yeah.
It's probably going to stick where it's at. I mean, it's been there forever.
Yeah, but it's a huge section. I
Oh,
wouldn't
it's
know how
fucking
to-
gigantic.
It's probably as big as a quarter of the rest of the park already.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
it's like going to fucking Harry Potter World at Universal. I don't know if either of you guys have done that. We went when Harry Potter World opened, and like the second you walk through the gate part into the Harry Potter World thing, it's literally like you're walking through Harry Potter. It's like you're on Diagon Alley where they buy all their shit.
Right.
All the stores are there, and you can go in the stores and buy the same shit. You can
Buy
go in the
wands
candy
and
shop. You can go in the wand store. It's all the same shit, and then they have the rides mixed in there. But like once you walk into it, it's like fully immersive. It's
How
it's
cool would it be
crazy.
if, instead of just a gate into it, it was a closed gate, but one of the columns was that like hologram mist thing or whatever, so you actually walk into the column
Oh
to get
yeah.
into it.
What's What's cool is they barely touched the original park. This is all new property. They didn't they didn't take away something to put it.
No,
there.
yeah,
That's
they ripped down a bunch of the backstage area
and some of the
warehouse.
parking.
Yeah, backstage, a couple of their big warehouses they had there where they held props and costumes and shit. They ripped that down and part of the one parking structure.
So like the big parking garage that I've never parked in because we always stay there, but there's a big parking garage way back on the
back
far
side.
corner.
Yeah.
It's if you were parked up in that parking garage, you'd be looking down into the Star Wars land. It's way in that back corner.
But yeah, and
you're literally gonna have to walk through the entire park to get to it.
Yeah, you gotta come in. You gotta go down Main Street through like Frontierland, past Adventureland to get down into where it's at. It's the whole backside of Tom Sawyer's Island.
Yeah, so it'd be like that far left area.
Yeah,
And then Tom Sawyer's Island and stuff, they've all redone that.
They revamped that. Yeah.
Because it was closed forever.
Oh yeah, I was always sad. I love Tom Sawyer's Island. It was one of my favorite places to go when I was a kid.
caves,
Get in them
yeah.
caves,
That
get
was
in
cool.
Injun Joe's caves.
Yeah.
And it was always nice and cool in there too. Like on them hot days, you're like, let's go hang out at Injun Joe's cave for like a little bit and cool off.
That's funny. It's the second show in a row we've ended up talking about Disneyland.
Yeah, we talked about the
'Cause we were talking
revamps to Pirates.
Pirates,
that they did,
yeah.
changing the Pirates ride.
Bastards.
Yep.
Got to get the winches out.
Yeah.
What's wrong with winches? Winches for a wife? I mean, come on.
I don't know.
Make an honest woman out of them.
Right?
Apparently it's wrong.
But it goes with pirates, you know?
Exactly.
Pirates are wrong, too. You
I was
know?
going to say,
That's like-
technically pirates are a lot worse than
Pirates
witches
are
are.
fucking horrible.
So, raping, murdering, and pillaging is still fine, but don't you be selling sex.
No, making heroes out of those that rape, pillage,
Yeah.
and all
Yeah,
that.
no kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, but selling sex, that's bad.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Yeah, but the oldest profession, oh no, you know?
That's funny. Literally the oldest profession.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't do it in Disney. I was reading a news article that they're having problems with gangs in Disney. Did you see that shit?
No, I have not.
They have
seen
these
that.
like they're
All the
basically
way home,
clubs.
Main Street, 23rd Main Street, man.
So they're basically
No, Adventure Island.
Oh, dude, no, I'll meet you, man. And do they
Smash
do the?
Mountain.
And then they do like the Michael Jackson EO dance, kind of like you know.
Dude, the way
they
they
do
were
knife
the first
fight or
thing, the
something.
way they described these groups, the first thing that popped into my head was Gangs of New York. That's what first, I swear, without the violence.
Like the rabbits.
I was
No,
picturing
that's
West
what,
Siders.
one of the gangs is the White Rabbits, and then there's another gang that's called the something fire department because it's like different sections that these people are, and it's basically social groups, social clubs, or whatever. But they're getting to the point now where there's a lawsuit between two of them over like slandering
Like
each other
The
and
Blair
shit.
Rabbits. We're talking.
Yeah,
shit
exactly.
About the fucking
Wow.
Hall of Presidents.
Pretty much. That's funny.
And how is Disney's not like? How did we get drug into this? You know,
Yeah.
this stupidity.
Well, I guess
stuff.
at first they were bringing so much attention, positive attention to the park. They didn't necessarily, according to this, they didn't necessarily
Promote
it, but they
Right.
didn't slow it down either because
Yeah.
it was
Right.
a good thing. But now it's becoming a problem. Apparently, they're fighting for territory,
just wanna know what
but not
their-
with sticks and
their
knives.
beef
They're
is.
suing each other. It was
And the
literally
funniest
like,
part, though, is that at any time Disney can step in and be like,
Get
you
out.
don't have claim to any fucking
Yeah.
part. Stay
Yeah,
out of
this
our
is
park.
ours. Yeah.
Like, you can't claim Main Street. We kind of own it.
yeah, but it's that fine line. You have a group of people that are coming like 5 times a month.
Mm-hmm. As opposed to the people who show
So-
up once every 5-6
Yeah,
years.
so you have to juggle that. Do I want to kick them out, or do I want to keep collecting their money?
Do I want to have these 30 people that come 5 times a month because they're part of
Are
this
they
crew?
going to do any damage to the Disney brand?
Probably not. They're
If
probably
not,
just
then
gonna.
They're gonna let them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably gonna just keep on. So they're probably all locals, I would assume, and Disney's racist against locals, against not locals but out of towners.
Oh yeah.
It is so much cheaper to go to Disney if you live close.
Oh, hell yeah.
And then like
That-
they let you do payment plans on
that-
the annual part.
I'm about to say, that fucking annual pass, if you lived there, if you lived within 2 hours of Disney, that annual pass would be one of your best purchases.
The annual pass is half the price if you live close, and you're allowed to make payments on it.
Yeah. That's one of the best things you could that just turns Disneyland into your park.
Yeah.
Like, hey, instead of saying, hey, let's go down to the fucking park and play on the slides, let's go down to Disneyland.
We had the annual pass, and what was really cool about it, like when we would go, like if we'd get there at 8:30 at night, we'd still go to the park and watch the fireworks.
Mm-hmm.
But who would do that? I'm not going to spend $250 to pop in and watch the fireworks
Yeah.
and then go back to the
They
room.
go,
you
yeah,
know
that's
what
the
I mean?
thing. Yeah,
So-
and that's what the annual pass just like lets you go any freaking time. You know, like you
Yeah.
said, you get off and get off at work at 5 o'clock and be like, hey, let's go to Disney for a couple hours.
Right.
You know, from now until they close. Maybe do a ride or two, eat some food, watch some fireworks or something like. And you're not, like you said, you're not going to do that if you just drove in to California. You never go to Disney the first day you get there. You check in
Right.
your hotel. You're like, oh, we got like 5-6
Yeah,
hours
because you're not
before
going to
we
spend
go
all
to
that money.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
like, we got like 5-6 hours before we go to bed. We're definitely not going to Disney right now. You got to put like 12-13 hours into Disney to
Right,
get your money's
exactly.
worth.
Definitely.
You know, I guess we could go down to the beach, look for something to eat. You know, but
And
yeah,
they-
if you got that pass, why not go straight in?
Yeah, and like for the out of towners, the annual passes, you can get them fairly reasonable, but there's so many blackout dates. Like you can't go. Like if you get the bottom level annual pass, you can't go in July. Yeah, I mean it's almost all of July is blocked out. Most of December is blocked out. You can barely go near Halloween. All the times you'd really want to go, all the holiday shit. And,
Yeah, that's real rough for these retirees who got all this time
Yeah,
to go
no.
to Disney over here.
no, we got the good one, so we go whatever we wanted. But
Of course.
Yeah.
Must be nice.
He's just saying it's
This is
horrible
this
for
is
the
the
commoners.
motherfucker who's
Yeah,
having
for
your
the
steaks and
I
shit while
know,
he's there.
yeah, huh?
He's like,
Mr.
what's the WD-40 steak?
Oh, no. No, that shit was too expensive. We were living out of like ice chests in the hotel room.
Danny Waigu. Everyone say they call him.
They call me Danny White.
We were eating lunch out of the backpack in the locker.
They call me Mr. Wagyu.
That's right.
Reminds me of high school.
I wanted to hear your take on the Venom movie. You said you were excited,
Oh.
but kind of, because you probably have the same thoughts I have on it.
All
I wanna hear
right.
What you got?
Venom looks cool. I mean, visually awesome. I
The
love.
fucking tendrils?
Yes.
The
Oh
tendrils
yeah, the
doing their
tendrils.
thing?
I
They were
love
doing
to
their
hear the
thing.
symbiote's voice in
Oh,
his
in
head.
his head,
That's
talking to him?
perfect. And the way the trailer ended with the head forming and we are Venom.
And the tongue?
Yes,
And the tongue.
that was awesome. What I don't like, and maybe I got to get over it. It could be me, but Venom. I mean, I'm open to that. Venom has its origin has always been tied to Spider-Man,
Yep.
and Eddie Brock was always an asshole villain in the
Yep.
beginning who had that character had to go through his journey to become the
He
anti-hero
took a
he is.
long time before he became
Yes.
a hero. He was a villain, one of Spider-Man's biggest villains for
He
a
was,
long time.
and to skip that journey of that character, I think cheats us of that character.
I
you know?
that when I went and watched Infinity War today, that was one of the trailers was Venom, and then like he said, everything in it looks amazing, looks like
Yes.
Venom. I was excited. As soon as it ended, first thing I turned and said to my wife is, I'm very excited for that movie, but I'm so sad that the whole Spider-Man connection's gone.
Yep.
Because originally the symbiote was joined to Peter Parker.
Yes.
You know,
And
and
if-
that's why Venom has such a hatred of Spider-Man because he was rejected by Spider-Man.
And
I wonder
Eddie
why he
Brock
did that.
was proven by Peter Parker
Eddie,
to be a
yeah,
fraud.
and
Yep.
Eddie lost his job because of Peter Parker. So they both had a hatred, and that's what made them such a good match.
Yes.
So
I wonder why they
hate
did that.
that
Do you
whole
think maybe they're
section
going to
of it.
bring back that later? They're going to do like a lot of the others, and
I
No,
think-
because
5 years from now
I-
there's
From
going
what
to be
I
an
can see in the
origins.
trailers, they're doing an origin of like how they first found the symbiote and like
Mm.
the scientific experiments they're doing on it. Because in the trailer, you see them like exposing other people to the symbiote, trying to make it bond with them, and doing experiments on them. So there's like zero connection to the Spider-Man universe.
I think
through
it's
this.
kind of like influenced by Deadpool. Now I like the Deadpool movie,
Right.
but Deadpool he was a villain when he was first introduced.
Yeah.
He didn't break the fourth wall. He didn't have this invulnerable healing ability, but he was a villain. And then he became an anti-hero.
He was just a
was a great
mercenary
B.
for hire.
Yeah, he
in
was
the
a
beginning.
B
That's all
level.
he was.
Yeah.
Mercenary for hire showed up and like he'd show up in one strip, get his ass whooped, and then like
You wouldn't see him for another year. Yeah.
Another year or two would pass, and then he'd show up for a quick story here or there. Yeah, he was nothing like what he turned into.
So I mean, I think it's kind of like with Venom. They just want to introduce the anti-hero character first, and not go through the journey of the story of the villain turning into the anti-hero.
Right.
You know, I always like those stories, like whether it's Venom or if it's Merle from Walking Dead. You know,
Oh, yeah.
How does I want to see the villain's journey turn into an anti-hero? You know, I always think those stories can be very fascinating. You know?
Right.
We've
Yeah,
seen the fall of the hero, but I want to see the rise.
Yeah,
of
like
him,
the
you know?
closest that we've gotten to it in the MCU would be Loki's progression.
Yes.
That's the
very
closest
true.
we've had
Yeah.
in the MCU. I mean, it's not as fleshed out as I would like it, but the closest we've seen is, I mean, he's been through a series of movies now. Starting, really, he was the main bad guy.
Oh,
and
right.
then, in
Yes.
Thor. And then he was the main bad guy again in the first Avengers movie. You know, it took like 2 or 3 movies before he started, and then in the beginning of Thor
Before
2,
that moral switch
before
gets
Thor,
flipped.
the beginning of Thor 2, he was still the bad guy. Like it still took like almost 3 movies for him to start to shift into that anti-hero kind of
Right.
section that he ended up in towards the end of Ragnarok. It took like 4 movies to get him there. That's the only time we've seen that progression.
And it's interesting with him being the god of mischief. Can he really turn into that character? You know,
Yeah.
he's always going to be the god of mischief. It's like his universal role.
Just
you know?
depends on what kind of mischief is he up to that day.
Yeah, that's true.
You know?
It's
That's true.
his moral compass is bound by what suits his needs.
Well, I
kind
mean,
of thing.
it's like the same thing with Deadpool. I mean, he's an anti-hero, but that's the point. Anti-hero. He still don't give a fuck if he murks out 50 people to get
Right.
done
Yeah.
what he's trying to get done.
Yeah.
He's not going to feel bad about it.
Right.
And the thing that made Deadpool work so well with that was because they went with the fourth wall version of him. Then he could make fun of the fact that he's connected
Yes.
to the shit.
Totally.
Like the
totally.
whole, like when they're talking about the professor, he's like, which one? Stewart or,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Like, I'm
So-
so confused here.
So maybe Venom might be a good movie. You know, I'll go into it open-minded, but yeah, that's my hesitancy about
That was the
Venom.
exact same thing. As soon as that trailer ended, I turned to my wife. I'm like, God, that movie looks good, but I'm
So-
so mad that it's not connected to Spider-Man.
It'll probably be a lot better movie for the non-purists of the
Yeah.
genre kind of
Yeah.
thing.
You know, but I'm not one of these, like, you know, purist Nazis that's like, I'm going to boycott that movie.
Right.
Yeah, see, I'll never
Yeah,
do that.
no,
I give
no,
every movie a
that's
chance.
stupid, yeah.
Just like, I mean, I went into Batman versus Superman and Justice League with low expectations, and it met low expectations. So, like, I wasn't too pissed off about the
Nice.
shit they fucked up, because I was expecting it to be shit to begin with. So
Or you're expecting total crap and you only get crap. So
exactly. So I went in,
It's
I
a
was
win,
like,
yeah.
at the end of it, I'm like, it wasn't a bad movie. They just got to get the fuck rid of Zack Snyder because he's ruining these stories, and they finally have gotten rid of him. So I'm kind of hopeful for the future of DC films.
That was actually kind of a movie that came out years ago, Fight Club. That was
Yeah.
how I went into Fight Club, because at that time, they were making, like, the Street Fighter movie and all these, like, you know,
Right.
video arcade
Had you
fighting movies.
read Chuck Palahniuk's
Not
book
at
before?
all.
Okay.
And I went totally in thinking it was going to be like a version of Street Fighter, you know, and so my expectations were in the gutter. And hell, I loved the movie. It was
I don't.
great. you
Fight
know?
Club's one of those
Yeah.
ones though. I don't care what expectations you go in. You're gonna come out. That was a badass movie.
I was, but I mean, I
you
was,
could go in with the highest or the lowest and come out. Damn, that was
Yeah.
a
That
good
movie took the twisted plot to a whole new
oh,
level.
it
Yeah.
did, it did.
the
But yeah,
whole next level. And then when it gets to the part where it's revealing it and he's looking back like through his mind,
Right. Yeah.
and like you see Tyler Durden there, then he disappears and he sees himself doing it.
Yeah, and
you're
you're
like,
like, oh!
mind fuck.
Yep. No, but that'll always
Dude,
stay in my memory.
Spoiler, man.
John
Yeah.
might not have seen it yet.
Yeah.
That is true. This he hasn't seen hardly any.
He's up to like
I'm
season 2 of
surprised
The
half
Walking
of those
Dead.
Star Wars questions weren't spoilers for him.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He's up to like season 2 of The
Oh.
Walking Dead and like I
So
think
let me ask you
season
about
3 of Game of Thrones.
So let me ask you about Solo then. What's your thoughts on Solo?
They had the preview, the newest one in the
Yeah.
thing. It looks really good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm loving the visuals,
Yeah. Yes.
and I'm optimistic for it.
I'm optimistic too. This feels like it'll be unlike Rogue One, which I loved, but that was a very serious movie.
Very
Right.
serious movie.
This looks like a fun movie for once. You know?
It's gonna be that.
Bring a
it's
little
gonna be that.
slapstick into it.
Yeah, it's not. It's gonna. It might have a little slapstick, but it's gonna be that comedic heist movie.
Yes.
I'm thinking Ocean's 11 of Star Wars.
Totally.
Is what it's going to be, because they're getting a whole gang together.
Yep.
Between, the guy Woody Harrelson's playing, the Khaleesi, the chick she's playing.
Even
Then
Lando,
you got,
yeah.
then you got Solo, Lando, and you got Chewbacca, and the
Yep.
interactions between all of them, and they're going into a heist, because this is when they're still all, he's always been a criminal.
Yeah,
After he got kicked out of the Imperial Academy, he's always been a criminal. So I'm seeing it like, this is like the Ocean's 11 of Star Wars.
And
That's how I'm
I'm-
looking at it. There's going to be comedy in it, there's going to be action, and we're
Yep.
going to get to steal some shit. I'm
Yep.
down.
But also, I wonder if they'll show us, because it seems like Han is the young, idealistic, full of hope character. What turns him into that bitter person we see later in Mos Eisley?
And
you
see,
know?
that's either what's going to happen by the end of the movie,
I think
or
Khaleesi hurts him.
see, I think so too.
Yeah.
I'm sure she fucks him up. She
Yes.
tears his heart out.
It
type shit.
Eats his
That's-
heart, just like in Game of
That's
Thrones.
that's either how this movie's going to end,
Yeah.
and we're going to be like, we get it, or this movie's going to set up another one.
Don't you
Where we
think
get
that's
that.
what I was going to say? Don't you think something like Solo,
Could
that
stretch
side
out into
story,
more.
they could
Yeah.
stretch it out into 2, maybe 3 movies?
If the first one comes off well, and there's a lot of people who are worried about the main actor because he seemed to have a lot of problems. They had to bring in acting coaches and shit like that for him. And then the change in directors, because originally the 21
Right,
Jump
yes,
Street
yeah.
guy doing it, and they were doing too much improv. Like, they weren't, like, the dailies were all over the fucking place. And Disney was like, how can we can't put this movie together. Because all your improv is all over the fucking place. We need some kind of structure. That's why they brought Ron Howard in.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for it. And when happens to me, the trailer started. The first sound you hear is a fucking TIE fighter.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I swear, my body was like tingling.
Yes,
Just hearing
yes.
the sound of them twin ion engines.
Dude, that
I was
goes
like,
back to Ben Burtt.
It hit me
I mean,
down inside my chest. I was like, it's Star Wars. Before anything else, I just heard the TIE fighter. Before
TIE
the screen
fighter,
was still black.
lightsaber, blaster.
Yeah.
I mean, Ben Burtt, who was the sound editor originally, that guy is a genius with what he came
Oh
up
man,
with. So
watching
iconic.
him record the sounds for the blasters by hitting the wires on the telephone poles.
Yep.
That's what the sound for the blaster is.
Really?
It's the guide wire that connects the pole to the ground. He hits it with the wrench and it makes that sound. He recorded it. That's where they got the blaster fire sound.
Did you see that they retired that scream noise?
Oh, the Wilhelm scream.
Yeah, the Wilhelm.
There you go.
Yeah,
I could do
yeah.
that.
It's a little too bad, but it's all right. It's not going to break anything.
Yeah.
with
I think
me.
99% of the world would never have any idea
Never
it was
know.
even in there,
Nobody
much
will
less
know
that
about
it's
that,
gone.
yeah.
But I
Hell,
thought it was,
But yeah, I'm optimistic for the movie. It's one of those ones I'm going in not with high expectations.
Yeah,
You know,
yes.
so that way I'm not going to like get to the end and be like, fuck this movie.
I
know,
ain't expecting some big epic
Exactly.
storyline in the Star Wars universe. You know,
Right.
this probably has
Yeah.
very little impact on the Star Wars universe, but
Yeah,
I'm looking for a fun movie.
That's what I'm
A
looking
fun
for
ride.
too, you know. And it's one of those things because, like you said, with the extended universe, I've read every single story. I know Han Solo's story from when he was a kid, all the way up until he met Luke and Leia, and then what happened for the next 50 years after.
One of my favorite expanded universe stories with Han Solo, it was actually from Tales of the Bounty Hunter, the Boba Fett story,
Yep.
where the final scene is him and Han as they're old men, you know,
Yeah.
and they're on
that
this
would be funny.
out of the way, no name
planet,
you know,
just-
Can you
two
hold
old
it in
men
a little
with
while?
their guns. They
Like
just
they're
don't
in their
trust each
50s
other.
and shit, and they're just like,
Yeah, and they don't want to kill each other, but they don't trust each other to walk away, and
Yeah,
it
it's
just
like-
ends right there.
Yeah,
Dude,
like-
awesome visual for a book, man. Yes. You know, and they're like, well, maybe we should do what we did when we were younger and just shoot and see where the chips fly, you know, and fall.
Yeah.
But
Because, I mean, you know, they did the expanded universe, they did a whole series telling you everything that's, like, what this movie's going to do. How did he get the Millennium Falcon? How did he meet Lando? How did he meet Chewbacca? How did he get into this world that he got into? That's all been told before, so now we're going to get a movie version of it. And I'm always like, and when I watch these movies now, I see the shit they pull from the expanded universe.
Yeah, yes.
I'm like, you motherfuckers aren't tricking me. I know where that
Yeah.
came from. Troy Dennings fucking came up with that
No.
idea, not you. Or Timothy Zahn did that.
Well, even
So,
Thrawn
like-
in Star Wars Rebels. Rebels is now canon, but they got Thrawn from Air
Thrawn,
Empire.
yeah, he was Timothy Zahn.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know, that's really cool that they pull in these bits and pieces here. So I'm wondering what parts of the Star Wars movie, the solo movie, are going to come from the stuff I already know.
Yeah.
And what parts are
that would be
totally made up by
interesting. And
Disney?
what parts do they
Right.
come up with new by the new writers and stuff? But I'm optimistic. I'm
So
like
am I. I'm in the
all
same boat as
all
you.
the Star Wars movies. And this is the problem a lot of our fanboy compatriots have is they go in with an idea of what it's going to be already.
Yes.
Well, one of the things I like
know,
about
and-
just the fact that we were going to have one Star Wars movie a year and 2 years between the real story and
Yeah,
every other
between
year as
the
a side
Skywalker
story.
saga and-
But now we're are we going to have one every 5 or 6 months forever now?
We might have one a year.
Yeah.
You know,
Because this one's, I mean, they had the one in December now,
Yeah,
so
and then
that's...
this one, but then last year they didn't have anything up until December, and then this one
Right.
is in May. But then the next episode 9 isn't until the fall. So there's going to be that whole stretch. So it'll be more than a year in between, but it's still one within a year period if you go by January to December.
Gotcha.
So
No,
but,
I mean,
I love that they're doing this. That they're moving away from the numbered trilogies. That they're
Right.
doing a story. 'Cause there's so
Standalones,
much.
standalones,
Give us
yes.
these standalones. I love it.
Yep.
I love the fact that they're talking about the Yoda one. I love the fact they're talking about maybe an Obi-Wan Kenobi one. You know.
And the
I
Boba
want my
Fett's the
Boba
next
Fett
side
one.
story?
And we've always wanted a Boba Fett.
Yes.
We would
Yeah.
give anything for a Mandalorian.
that would be
story.
a nice sequel to a Solo.
It
You know,
would be.
it goes from Solo, then a Boba Fett, standalone to tie the two together.
And
Wasn't
you
that
could,
supposed to be the
mix him
next side
into
story?
it.
I rumors,
no,
but
the Boba Fett one is still very rumored. They
Yeah.
still know things. Yoda is in pre-production.
Also, Yoda should be the next side
Yeah,
story.
Yoda's one of the ones that's in pre-production and stuff like that.
but they know they got a hit because, like, when the Force Awakens toys came out, they had a Boba Fett, action figure being sold. And every time they come out with a line of figures, it's like they always have Boba Fett merchandise.
Isn't
as
it
well.
funny
Right.
that he's the one of the most popular characters in the whole series and one of the least talked about.
He has
least screen time.
Not least talked about. He's talked about a lot.
Well, that's true. I mean,
but
on
he
screen.
has
screen,
about
isn't he kind
5
of an
minutes of screen time.
Yeah.
He didn't do a great job at his job, did he?
He was never written originally in the trilogy to be any special character. He
Just background noise.
Yeah,
pretty
Lucas
much.
just called him the bounty hunter for a long time. They needed someone to help the Empire catch Han Solo. That was all.
They
his
never
only
even called
purpose.
him Boba Fett in the movies.
Yeah.
Never once is
Only
his
in,
name mentioned.
only in Jedi. When Han is blind and he's like, Boba Fett, where?
I swear he didn't say
And
Boba.
then he-
I thought he said proto something.
Oh. But yeah, he was known as the bounty hunter. You know, it was just no one. He didn't care about making him an important character, and people.
Yeah.
I think the hype behind the action figure in 1979 and the mysterious character for a Star Wars sequel with the hype from the original movie just blew him up. You know, and went from there.
Made him huge, and then man, like you said, one of my favorites is Tales from the Bounty Hunters. I
Yes.
love learning about all the Dengar,
Those were all good
IG-88,
stories, yes.
Bosk,
Yes.
learning about all their different things. Those were
I don't
so
know what
well
the
You know
done.
what? I know some fanboys are going to hate me for this, but I've said it before. The expanded universe, they had some real crap, but they had some real gems too.
They did.
Man.
There
know?
were some that were throwaways. I mean, I
Yes,
have every single one
totally.
on my shelf, and some of them I will never read again. They're
Yes.
just there to be
But
on my
there's
shelf.
some
But there's
that
some
were-
that are like
They were
damn,
total gems, man. That
They
were
were
awesome.
They were great.
You know, so it's trying to.
like
cooking.
I loved all the anthologies because
Yes.
Kevin J. Anderson oversaw all
Yep.
those, and I met him at the last
They were
Comic Con.
tied together too.
Yeah, I met him at the last Comic Con, and I got to talk to him for about 30 minutes because it was
Nice.
when we were having all that crazy security shit.
Mhm.
Nobody could get in,
Yep.
and I go into the fucking panel. There's 5 of us in there with like major Star Wars writers.
Yeah.
Anderson's in there, Zahn's in there, like all
Oh,
these
nice.
major Star Wars writers. are
And
sitting
everybody
in there.
else is out
And
in the
there's-
line going,
Everyone's
"Wow."
outside in the heat, and there's 5 of us in there. We got to sit down and have personal conversation with these guys about their
That's
stories.
awesome.
And you talked.
They
all-
probably didn't think so.
Yeah, like we said to him, we're like, "Yo, normally this shit would be packed, guys.
Yeah.
People would be here wanting to talk, but they loved it. They loved the one-on-one. Like it was so few of us in there. Like technically, there really were like 13 of us. It wasn't 5, but still 13, and
It's
it would
nothing.
have been a
It's a drop in
panel
the
of like
bucket.
30,
Yeah.
like 300 people.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got to have just these like real personal conversations with him and questions, and he talked about how he got pulled into doing all these anthologies because he was like doing research in the archives at Lucas at Lucas Ranch.
Mhm.
You know, they have that room with all
Yes,
everything
yes.
from fucking Star Wars is in this room. Every idea they've ever had, everything. So he's picking through because he's working on something, and he hears some people over on the other side talking about like what they want to do with this next like stories and things like that. And he gives them the whole idea for the anthology. He's like, "Well, why don't you just do this?" And then he said it got real quiet over there,
You're hired.
and then they're like, started like, "Who's over there?" And then next thing you know, he's doing like 5 anthology books as like the overall editor.
Tales
on
of
that
Jabba's
shit.
Palace, Tales of Mos
Mos
Eisley,
Eisley
Tales of Bounty
Cantina, yeah.
Hunters, Empire. They were all great, man.
Yeah.
They were good.
But yeah, there's some real gems in there that I was sad when they were axed from
Yes.
canon, but they're still there.
Yes,
Just
they are
because they're
still
not
there.
canon doesn't mean they're not good stories. Doesn't mean you can't enjoy
And
them.
you know, the courtship of Princess Leia, I read that once, and I'll probably never read that one
Oh
again.
yeah, you know,
but-
yeah. When Han Solo tried to give her a planet, which ended up being full of dark side witches.
Yeah, I know. It was just,
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. There
There's
were
a present
witches.
for you.
They're called the Night Sisters. They were
Oops.
witches that used the dark side. And you're like, okay.
Oops.
And they rode
Interesting.
Rancors.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, Road Rancors.
They rode Rancors, the giant beasts from Jabba's palace. They rode those around a jungle. It's a crazy story.
Which, you know, I always liked the idea from the West End Games background for the Rancor that no one really knew where it came from. It was a mystery, you know what I mean? So I was actually happy with that. I didn't need to know what
They
planet
didn't
they
need
were
to know
from. Yep.
they're from what planet they're
You
from.
know, he was found in the cargo hold of a crashed ship on Tatooine, and, you know, he got him. But, oh well.
One of my favorites. I know we can't get off the
I
subject.
know, we can't.
I love
Oh, that's what we expected once we
I
brought
love
up
the
the
Rancor trainer in Tales from Jabba's Palace.
Oh, yes.
He loved that fucking Rancor
Maliki
so
or
much.
Maliki,
Yep.
yeah, with his
He
name.
loved that Rancor.
It
In
was
the
his
movies,
dog.
we only saw him once.
Like breakdown crying.
Yeah, he's crying. He's the big, flat, blubbery
Yep.
guy with the little like leather apron on.
Yep,
Oh,
and
yeah.
After
the
Luke kills
headdress.
the Rancor, he comes in, he starts crying.
Yep.
There's a whole entire fucking story about
Oh,
it.
yeah.
We learn everything about this guy.
He-
How he became the Jabba's palace, how he trained the Rancor, how it became like his best friend and pet. Like it was
Wow.
his dog.
He
and
was
that's
a
why he was so
professional
corrupt.
trainer
hilarious.
of like apex predator type of creatures. That was his career, and Jabba hired him to take care of the Rancor. And the Rancor even got to a point where he would let the Rancor out into the desert to run around, and then he would call the Rancor back and it would
come back to him.
Yeah,
and
the Rancor was like his personal pet.
It was literally like his canine companion.
Yeah.
And then Luke goes off and kills it.
It was actually a sad story.
At the end, you're
man.
like crying.
Yeah.
You're like, fuck, now I know why he was crying, you
Luke's
fucking
an
asshole.
It's like-
Siegfried and Roy should have hired him.
Right?
yeah, oh yeah. Oh, he would have had those tigers.
Yeah, doing
Backflips.
Purring and stuff.
All right. That's sweet.
Yeah.
All right, time to eat.
Later, guys.
Later, guys. Thank you for having me.